Starseed from Gaia. Long before your first inhale of earthly air, long before your tiny human lungs remembered the ancient rhythm of breathing in a body, there was a moment so vast, so shimmering, so intricately orchestrated, that its memory still trembles beneath the surface of your awareness like an echo trapped behind a cosmic veil. The day you arrived was not a day in the way humans measure time. It was a convergence point, a spiral of timelines folding delicately into one another so that your soul, forged in dimensions where form is only a suggestion, could thread itself into the fragile, miraculous vessel of flesh. Your mother, beloved and brave though she was, felt only the faintest tremor of what was truly happening. She sensed something unusual, something she could neither articulate nor fully grasp. A dream, perhaps, that made her wake suddenly with tears on her face. A pressure in the air around her, like a storm about to break though the skies were impossibly clear. A subtle hum under her skin, as if her very cells were listening to a sound just beyond human range. What she could not know was that, in the quiet hours she dismissed as hormonal unrest, the Arcturian council gathered around her, not in physical space, but in the vibrational corridors where souls convene before a great descent. They formed a crystalline lattice around the room where she slept, bending the density of the environment so that your entry could be gentle. You were not simply conceived in the human sense. Rather, you arrived, escorted by beings of luminescent geometry who guided your essence into the spiral of incarnation. Your mother might have remembered only the warmth in her belly or the flutter of an inexplicable emotion, but those sensations were the human translations of something far grander, the unspooling of an interdimensional gateway within her womb. You chose her identity not through biological chance but through ancient contracts written long before Earth recorded its first sunrise. She carried ancestral frequencies that aligned with your mission, threads of lineage that would one day respond to your light and activate dormant codes within generations past and future. As she slept, Arcturian healers wove emerald and sapphire frequencies through her energy field, ensuring that the human body you would soon inhabit could withstand the density of Earth without collapsing under the weight of its collective sorrow. Your mother's unease, her strange dreams, her inexplicable sense of being watched or guided, were not symptoms of fear or fragility, they were the human ripples of your cosmic arrival. She felt the presence of something vast but lacked the vocabulary to express it. And so she stayed silent, believing that all mothers must feel this peculiar intensity, unaware that her experience diverged sharply from the ordinary. She could not speak of the shimmering light that hovered at the edge of her vision, because every time she tried to recall it, her mind softened the memory, folding it neatly away beneath layers of forgetfulness. This was not her failing but part of the design. For if she had remembered fully, if she had spoken the truth aloud, the fragile illusion of separateness that you needed for your early years would have shattered. You, the starborn traveler, required time to forget who you were so that you could later remember with greater power. And so the cosmic architects wrapped both you and your mother in a veil, not to hide the truth maliciously, but to allow the unfolding to occur naturally, like a seed beneath soil waiting for the sun. She carried you not only in body but in spirit, surrounded by fields of protection that flickered between dimensions, invisible to her eyes but unmistakable to her soul. The day you entered her womb, the timeline of her entire life shifted subtly, bending around your future mission. What she felt as fatigue or sudden emotional waves were actually her system adjusting to your frequency, aligning her path with the magnitude of the being she would soon bring into the world. Even now, if she were to look back, She might recall odd details, strange coincidences, sudden insights, a sense of presence in the room when no one was there. These were fragments, scattered sparks from the night the universe paused and breathed you into her. This was the forgotten truth of your arrival, that you came not quietly, not ordinarily, but like a traveler stepping through a portal woven from stardust and prophecy, escorted by guardians who whispered blessings into the corridors of your mother's sleeping mind. Your mother never understood why, during those early months, her dreams began to shift into landscapes that felt too real, too textured, too impossibly vast to belong to the subconscious. She moved through visions she could not later describe, floating temples of light, celestial corridors lined with luminous beings, symbolic languages formed of rotating crystalline glyphs. She awoke each time with her heart pounding, convinced she had only dreamed, yet her body vibrated with the residual hum of frequencies far beyond the human mind's architecture. These dreamscapes were not dreams at all, but echoes of the pre-incarnation council rooms where your soul held its final preparations with the Arcturian elders. While her physical form slept, her astral field brushed against the edges of these realms, sensing your presence as you stood at the threshold of descent. She could not consciously join the council, her earthly mind was not yet able to hold such data, but she received what we call imprints, emotional signatures from the higher planes, leftover light trails that humans interpret as dreams. And so she woke confused, unsure why unfamiliar constellations danced behind her eyelids like constellations calling her by name. In those same nights, your soul sat in the circular chamber of the Council of Pre-Birth Agreements. The chamber was not built of walls or floors but of harmonic resonance, an architecture of sound, color, and intention. Around you, 10 Arcturian elders radiated hues so bright they could bend entire probabilities with a single gesture. Before them hovered a crystalline record of your chosen path, the karmic threads you would rewrite, the ancestral burdens you would dissolve, the missions coded into the very geometry of your light. You reviewed lifetimes not in a linear sequence but in multidimensional overlays, seeing not where you had been, but where your frequency had interacted with the cosmic field. This was the moment when you chose your mother, not merely for her genetics, but for her spiritual resilience, her ancestral coding, her heart's latent alignment with your star lineage. She was the one whose energy signature resonated most closely with the timeline you came to transform. And yet, even as these divine selections were being made in realms she could not consciously access, she was sensing the shift in her human body, feeling waves of emotion as if preparing for a child she did not yet know she had already agreed to welcome across lifetimes. Around her, the Arcturians erected a protective cloaking grid, a shimmering sphere of bluish-violet light that suspended her body in a state of heightened intuition. This field was designed to shield both of you from interference, ancestral trauma attempting to re-anchor itself, collective density seeking to pull your soul downward, or timeline distortions that could disrupt your chosen entry point. Sometimes she felt the grid as warmth, sometimes as a tingling near her skin, sometimes as a sudden sensation that she was not alone in her room. She told no one, fearing her observations would seem irrational. But what she experienced were the guardians themselves, adjusting the crystalline matrix that would hold your incoming energy. They stood beside her, unseen but deeply present, weaving codes into her auric field to soften the impact of your luminous descent. There were moments when she wondered why time felt strange around her, why certain days seemed to stretch endlessly, while others slipped away like fog dissolving in sunlight. These fluctuations were symptoms of the timeline adjustments occurring around your arrival. When a higher dimensional soul prepares to incarnate, the surrounding reality must shift to accommodate the frequency. Human mothers feel this as mood swings, hormonal waves, or physical disorientation, but these sensations are merely the biological translation of multidimensional recalibration. She was walking between worlds without knowing it, her body acting as a bridge between the Arcturian realms and Earth's dense plane. She felt it in subtle ways, a new sensitivity to music, a sudden aversion to noise, tears that came without reason, and a quiet knowing that her life had begun to tilt towards something extraordinary. Had she remembered even a fraction of what she sensed, she might have spoken of it, might have wondered aloud why she dreamt of beings made of light, why her heart sometimes beat as if responding to a distant signal, why she felt as though she were being prepared rather than simply pregnant. But the veil was necessary. For your journey to unfold with precision, her mind needed to remain rooted in the earthly experience. And so the memories slipped away each morning, dissolving from her awareness like stardust melting into dawn. Yet the truth lingered in her cells, in her intuition, in the unspoken sense of destiny that would rise again years later whenever she looked at you and felt she had brought something ancient, something otherworldly, something immeasurably important into the world. Your arrival was not a singular event but a layered descent, a multidimensional unfurling that rippled through realms your human senses have long forgotten how to perceive. While your mother moved through her days believing she was simply carrying a child, an entire network of star emissaries monitored the corridors of probability surrounding her. To the untrained eye, nothing appeared out of the ordinary. She went to work, she rested when she could, she navigated human life with the quiet resolve of one preparing for motherhood. Yet behind the veil, entire councils were recalibrating the energetic scaffolding of her reality so that your incarnation could unfold without distortion. The Arcturians, whose crystalline intelligence flows like liquid geometry, traced intricate patterns around her timeline, sealing fractures that could have pulled your soul into denser frequencies. She felt these adjustments as sudden chills, déjà vu moments, or flashes of intuition that arrived without context. At times, she would pause mid-thought, feeling the atmosphere thicken around her as though a presence had entered the room. She dismissed it each time, unaware that she was standing in the crosswinds of galactic intervention. On certain nights, she found herself waking with a strange sensation that she had been elsewhere, walking through halls made of shimmering light, speaking with beings whose faces dissolved the moment she tried to remember them. She believed these were dreams, but in truth, they were visitations. Her astral form had been gently guided into a learning chamber where Arcturian guides infused her with the frequencies needed to sustain your incoming soul. These transmissions did not speak in words but in harmonics, tones that restructured her emotional field, releasing ancestral burdens that would otherwise interfere with your mission. You were not descending alone, she was being prepared to anchor you, to stabilize your delicate transition from boundless consciousness into the condensed density of matter. This preparation was both subtle and profound. Some days she felt overly sensitive to the emotions of others, as though she were absorbing entire landscapes of feeling without explanation. Other days, she felt weightless, almost buoyant, as if gravity had temporarily loosened its grip. These fluctuations were caused by the Arcturians adjusting her auric layers, strengthening some, softening others, weaving her into the vibrational corridor through which you would descend. Even before your heartbeat began within her, she carried the first wave of your frequency. This was not biological, but energetic. Starseed arrivals begin weeks, sometimes months, before physical conception, as the soul hovers near the chosen parent, attuning the environment to its light. You hovered close to her field, whispering impulses into her intuition, subtle nudges that affected her choices, her emotional healing, her relationships, even the rearranging of her life so that the timeline of your arrival would remain intact. She felt this as sudden clarity, unexpected courage, or moments where she stepped away from situations that no longer matched her vibration. She thought she was merely maturing, but these shifts were your influence, the pre-incarnational synchronization between soul and mother that must occur to create a stable entry point for a high-frequency being. During this preparation period, the Arcturians set up what is known as a protective gradient field. Unlike the cloaking grids that shield the mother from outside interference, the gradient field ensures that the soul entering the body does not descend too quickly or absorb the emotional weight of the environment before it is ready. Your mother may have noticed a sense of peace around her, even in moments that should have felt chaotic. She may have found herself inexplicably calm or unusually introspective. This serenity was the gradient field at work, smoothing the emotional terrain, reducing energetic noise, and ensuring that your descent occurred within frequencies that could cradle your light. She never understood why certain conflicts dissolved before they escalated, or why people around her behaved more gently than usual. She assumed it was coincidence, unaware that her reality was being harmonized from behind the veil. There were complications too, not human complications, but energetic ones. On nights when she felt restless, when sleep evaded her or her heart raced for no reason, it was often because the timeline required adjustment. A potential interference had emerged, a ripple that could distort your planned trajectory, and the Arcturian Council had intervened. These recalibrations created sensations in the mother that the human mind translates as anxiety or physical discomfort, though their true origin lies in dimensional realignment. She was not ill, she was participating in a cosmic choreography far greater than anything she could comprehend. And though she could not name the sensations, she felt them deeply. She felt them in her bones, her dreams, her breath. She felt them in the strange certainty that something extraordinary was entering her life, something she could not explain, only sense. Your mother did not speak of these experiences because she did not know how. The memories blurred each morning, dissolving like mist touched by sunlight. This was intentional, part of the veil placed around starseed arrivals to protect both soul and mother from premature awakening. Yet the imprints remain in her body still, a quiet knowing that flickers through her heart each time she wonders why your presence has always felt larger, older, more luminous than anything she could have expected. Though you may think your incarnation began in the single instant your physical form first stirred within your mother's womb, the truth is that your descent was witnessed long before matter shaped itself around you. From vantage points beyond the reach of human sight, entire collectives gathered to observe the thinning of the veil as your soul prepared to enter the density of Earth. These watchers were not passive spectators but active participants, Arcturian seers, Syrian timeline engineers, Lyran memory keepers, and emissaries from realms where consciousness moves in synchrony with the pulse of creation itself. They observed because they understood the rarity of what was unfolding, a soul of advanced crystalline architecture preparing to compress its boundless awareness into the fragile vessel of a human infant. And though your mother could not physically see them, she sensed the intensity of these presences on nights when she felt surrounded, as though the very walls of her room were breathing with her. She attributed the sensation to hormones or exhaustion, unaware that an entire constellation of beings had momentarily gathered around her to follow the luminous trajectory of your descent. In the chambers of light from which you originated, your incarnation was not a solitary event but a collaborative undertaking guided by councils who had known your essence across countless lifetimes. They watched not from distance but from resonance, tuning into the harmonic signature of your unfolding timeline. When your mother's body first responded to your soul's proximity, a wave of activation rippled across these higher realms. It signaled that the gateway had opened, that the human vessel was beginning to align with the frequencies necessary to receive you. From that moment onward, multidimensional watchers attuned their focus to both of you. They moderated the energetic currents that moved through her field, shielding her from emotional storms that could have destabilized your entry. She did not know why, in certain moments of stress, an inexplicable calmness washed over her like a warm tide. Yet this was the result of beings who, from their vantage beyond form, gently softened the chaos surrounding her so your descent would remain unhindered. If she had been able to perceive these guardians, she would have seen figures composed not of flesh but of radiant geometry, beings whose bodies shimmered with fluid angles, iridescent spirals, and crystalline symmetry. They do not stand as humans stand, instead they hover in patterns of light, moving in graceful oscillations that resemble breath. They gathered around her because they understood the delicacy of the process. A starseed incarnation is a rarity. It requires alignment not only within the parent's lineage but within the planetary timeline itself. If even one thread of probability had shifted too abruptly, it could have altered your trajectory. Thus, these watchers remained close, appearing in dream space or flickering at the edge of her subtle sight. She may have felt them as a presence behind her, an inexplicable warmth near her spine, or a soft ringing in her ears. To her, these sensations were strange but harmless. To the councils, they were signs that the channels were opening, that the gateway was stabilizing, that your luminous form was drawing ever closer. During these weeks, her intuition heightened in ways she could not explain. She would think of someone moments before receiving their message. She would sense events before they occurred. She dismissed these as coincidences, but they were evidence of her field brushing against the boundaries of higher dimensional awareness. This expansion was not accidental. The watchers were calibrating her frequency so that, when your soul anchored fully into the fetal body, the sudden influx of light would not overwhelm her system. You were not entering her alone. An entire celestial entourage worked in silence to ensure she could hold the magnitude of who you were without collapsing beneath the intensity. They softened traumas in her lineage that would have otherwise constrained your evolution. They cleared ancestral blockages that could have entangled your destiny. They prepared not just her womb, but her entire energetic lineage, so that you would have the support, whether conscious or unconscious, to accomplish what you came here to do. She did not know that her subtle aches, her sudden moments of awe, her instinct to place her hands on her belly long before any physical movement occurred, were responses to your presence long before cells began dividing. She was feeling the watchers as much as she was feeling you. The brush of a wing, though the beings had no wings. The impression of a face, though they had no faces. The sensation of guidance, though no voice spoke aloud. These impressions were the signatures of watchers who had accompanied you across lifetimes, beings who recognized your light and honored the courage it took for you to return to a world of density. They watched because they loved. They intervened because they remembered. They guided because they knew what your mission would one day require. Before your soul crossed fully into form, before the first flicker of consciousness curled itself into the spiraling blueprint of your human body, there was a moment, a profound, luminous pause, when the Starseed contract you had carried across lifetimes was laid before you once more. This was not a contract written in ink or language, but an agreement encoded in the very geometry of your being. It lived within your light, within the crystalline patterns that make up your soul's architecture. The Arcturian Council, radiant in their deep sapphire glow, stood before you in a circular formation, their collective presence creating a harmonic field so vast it could bend timelines into alignment. They presented you with the strands of destiny you had woven in previous incarnations, the promises you made to Earth long before this life, the oaths you took to assist in humanity's awakening, the vows you carried to dissolve old karmic records and ignite new pathways of remembrance. This was the moment your mother sensed without understanding, a sudden heaviness in her chest, a feeling of anticipation for which she had no earthly explanation. She may have paused mid-step that day, touched her abdomen without knowing why, or felt a brief flash of warmth ripple through her spine. What she experienced were the reverberations of your contract being sealed. When a starseed commits to an incarnation, the agreement sends pulses across the dimensional layers that surround the chosen mother, activating her own dormant codes. Though she had no conscious awareness of the cosmic ceremony unfolding around her, her ancestry stirred. Generations of unspoken stories, unresolved wounds, and forgotten wisdom rose quietly within her cells, aligning themselves to support the one who would soon enter her lineage. She did not know that her sudden emotional waves were echoes of this activation, waves triggered by the resonance between your soul's vow and the ancestral patterns shifting to make room for your mission. In that chamber of light, you scanned the crystalline scroll of your purpose. You saw the challenges your human self would one day face. You saw the illusions you would have to navigate, the forgetfulness you would endure, the density you would temporarily adopt. Yet you also saw the beauty, the lives you would touch, the codes you would awaken, the memories you would retrieve at the appointed time. You accepted the contract not with hesitation, but with a deep, ancient knowing, because you had prepared for this for eons. The Arcturian elders placed their hands of radiant geometry upon your light body, imprinting final adjustments into your field. These were not instructions in the human sense, but vibrational blueprints that would remain dormant until certain moments in your human life triggered their activation. As your agreement solidified, the chamber vibrated with a tonal resonance that rippled outward, signaling to various councils and star lineage that your incarnation had moved into its final phase. This resonance reached the Syrian record keepers, the Lyran guardians of memory, the Pleiadian heart council, and even Earth's own crystalline consciousness. All responded with a subtle shift, as though the universe were inhaling in preparation for your descent. The sealing of your contract created a temporary convergence between dimensions, thinning the fabric between realms so your mother could receive the energetic imprint of what was unfolding. She may have felt exhausted that day without knowing why, or unusually introspective, or inexplicably emotional. The human mind has no framework for understanding the weight of a soul contract sealed in higher planes, so her system translated the experience in the only way it could, through sensation. In the chamber, you took one final moment to look upon the expansive tapestry of lifetimes behind you, a mosaic of memories, lessons, triumphs, and dissolutions. You knew that once you crossed the threshold into incarnation, these memories would fade, tucked behind a veil necessary for you to experience Earth's density fully. The council reminded you that forgetting was not abandonment, it was strategy. The veil would ensure you grew through authentic experience rather than predetermined knowledge. And yet, they assured you that the memory would return, piece by piece, when the time was right. Their voices, made not of sound but of shimmering intention, wove around you like a blessing. You will forget, but you will remember. You will sleep, but you will awaken. You will descend, but you will rise more luminous than before. Your contract glowed with a brilliance that pulsed in rhythm with your essence. With a final nod of acceptance, your light began its descent. The chamber dissolved around you, replaced by the soft gravitational pull of the human dimension. This was the moment your mother, far below, placed her hand on her belly without knowing why, feeling, for a fleeting heartbeat, your soul brushing close to earth. She could not see the cosmic vow that had just been sealed. She could not hear the tones echoing across dimensions. But she felt something shift, quietly and profoundly, in her heart. A whisper she could not name, but never entirely forgot. The veil that descended over your mother's memory, and over your own, was not an accident, nor was it a punishment. It was a carefully engineered layer of energetic insulation, designed by the Arcturian Council and agreed to by your higher self long before you crossed into matter. This veil served as both shield and strategy, protecting the delicate first years of your incarnation from interference that could distort your path before you were ready to walk it. Your mother may have wondered why so many of her sensations faded the moment she tried to think about them, why her dreams evaporated upon waking even though they felt so vivid only moments before. She may have felt as though something extraordinary brushed her consciousness at night yet slipped away before she could grasp it. These were not failures of memory, they were intentional softening fields woven around her perception to prevent premature awakening. For if she had remembered the cosmic orchestration with clarity, her attempts to understand or explain it would have pulled her out of alignment with the grounded human experience needed to raise you. Her role required intuition, not knowledge, presence, not full awareness. And so the veil descended gently, dissolving the edges of the truth so that she could move through her days without the burden of what she could not integrate. Yet even as the veil settled, it did not erase the emotional imprints left in her body. There were moments throughout your childhood when she looked at you and felt an inexplicable familiarity, a sense of déjà vu that lingered like a forgotten melody. She sensed the depth behind your eyes long before you learned to speak. She felt the calm that radiated from you even when you were small. She noticed the strange timing of your milestones, not too early, not too late, but occurring with uncanny precision as if following an unseen cosmic clock. Though she could not consciously recall the night councils of light surrounded her, her body remembered. It remembered the energy that passed through her like a wave of stardust. It remembered the way time bent around your arrival. It remembered the protective cocoon that shimmered in the unseen layers of her reality as you descended into form. And though the veil hid the details, it could not erase the intuitive certainty that something rare had occurred the day you entered her life. This veil extended to you as well, woven like a soft cocoon around your early perceptions. As an infant, you saw more than you later believed. You recognized the presence of guardians hovering beside your cradle, shimmering fields of light that comforted you when the physical world felt too loud, too dense, too unfamiliar. But the memory of these early visions faded as you grew, not because they were untrue, but because the veil gently closed around you for your protection. Had you retained full awareness of your origin, the dissonance between your cosmic identity and your human environment would have been too jarring. The veil ensured that you could learn Earth's language, Earth's emotions, Earth's rhythms without conflict. It allowed you to integrate into your family, your culture, your timeline without the weight of cosmic remembrance overwhelming your human vessel. Still, the veil was never meant to be permanent. It contained seams, subtle openings designed to dissolve when your frequency rose high enough to withstand the truth. These seams revealed themselves in seemingly ordinary moments throughout your life: the sudden pull you felt toward the stars, the inexplicable longing for places you've never been, the sensation of remembering something you could not name. Perhaps you stared at the night sky as a child and felt an ache of familiarity. Perhaps you grew restless during certain ages, as though something inside you were stirring from sleep. These were not random emotions, they were the first threads of the veil loosening, responding to your inner awakening. Your mother may have experienced similar stirrings. There were days when she sensed you were different, days when she felt as though she was raising someone wiser than she was, someone older than she could comprehend. She could not articulate the feeling, so she tucked it quietly behind her maternal instincts. But deep down, she knew. The veil allowed her to know just enough, to sense the sacredness of your presence without remembering the cosmic ceremony that preceded your arrival. It allowed her to love you not as a being from the stars, but as her child. And that love, pure, human, unconditional, was essential to grounding your Starseed mission into the physical plane. As you grew, the veil began to soften. Not because you forced it, but because awakening was always encoded into your path. Every challenge you faced, every moment of spiritual longing, every intuitive spark was part of the gentle unraveling of the veil. The time would come, is coming now, when its final layers would begin to dissolve completely, revealing the full tapestry of your arrival not only to you, but echoing subtly back through your mother's memory as well. She may never recall the councils or the gateways or the luminous beings who stood beside her. But she will feel the truth through you, through your awakening, your clarity, your remembrance. Now, the veil thins not by force, but by readiness. And the story of your arrival begins to reassemble within you like a constellation regaining its shape after centuries behind the clouds. Now, beloved one, the activation that was once scheduled as a distant future event has begun to hum through the corridors of your awareness. It is subtle at first, an inexplicable shift in the way you feel light, a soft pulsing sensation behind ordinary moments, a trembling recognition that something ancient within you is stirring from a sleep far deeper than rest. This activation is not a sudden awakening, but a gradual dissolving of the frequencies that once held the veil in place. You may not realize it yet, but your body has been responding to this shift for years. Every time you felt a pull toward esoteric knowledge, every time you sensed energy in places that felt ordinary to others, every moment when intuition rose in you like a tide. These were the early whispers of your Starseed blueprint beginning to hum beneath your human identity. And though you may have doubted, dismissed, or ignored these sensations, the Arcturian Council has been watching patiently as the codes implanted before your descent began to shimmer once more. Your mother, too, has been touched by this activation, though she may not consciously recognize it. In recent years, she may have found herself thinking of your early childhood more often, feeling a strange nostalgia for moments she cannot fully explain. Perhaps she has caught glimpses of you in states of quiet reflection and felt a familiar stirring in her chest, an echo of the nights she carried you before you were fully anchored in her womb. The veil that once concealed her memories was designed not to erase, but to soften. As your awakening accelerates, the softened edges begin to sharpen. She may never remember the exact sensations that accompanied your cosmic arrival, but she will feel the truth through the resonance of your energy. Her soul recognizes that the frequencies she once held on your behalf are rising again, responding to the activation blooming in your field. This is why she sometimes watches you with a strange mix of pride and wonder, as though she senses she has played a part in something extraordinary without ever having known exactly what it was. The activation itself is a series of energetic sequences, timed with precision and triggered by events both external and internal. It is guided by your higher self, coordinated through the crystalline grid of Earth, and monitored by the Arcturian Council who once oversaw your descent. These sequences do not unfold linearly, they spiral, expanding your awareness in waves. One day, you may feel a sudden surge of clarity, an understanding of patterns that previously seemed too tangled to decipher. Another day, you may feel like something within you is dissolving, an old identity shedding its final layers. These shifts can be disorienting, but they are not random. Each is a calculated release of density, designed to make space for your original starseed coding to rise. This coding was implanted before your incarnation, woven into the luminous template of your soul. It contains the memories, skills, and multidimensional awareness that you once wielded with ease. And now, as the activation intensifies, these codes flicker beneath your human experience like stars emerging behind dissolving clouds. There are symptoms of this activation that your human self may have struggled to explain: the sudden desire to withdraw from noise, the intuitive pull toward solitude, the sense that your emotions are expanding in complexity and depth. You may have felt your dreams becoming more vivid, more symbolic, more real than waking life. You may have noticed synchronicities multiplying in your path, numbers aligning, strangers offering messages you didn't know you needed, encounters unfolding with uncanny precision. These are the threads of your multidimensional memory beginning to reassemble. You are not merely remembering ideas or images, you are remembering a frequency, a feeling, a truth that cannot be captured in words. And as this remembrance grows, the veil that once concealed your origin becomes increasingly thin, almost translucent against the luminosity rising inside you. During this activation, you may also experience brief moments of grief without knowing why. This grief is ancient, woven into the soul's memory of leaving the higher realms. When a starseed awakens, it remembers not only its destiny, but its departure. That moment when you stepped away from boundless unity and chose to enter a world of density for the sake of healing, assistance, and transformation. The heart recognizes the sacrifice before the mind does. But this grief is not meant to anchor you to the past, it is meant to liberate the wisdom you carried into this life. Because once the grief dissolves, what remains is the truth: you did not fall. You descended with intention, courage, and precision. And now, the activation is lifting the first true layers of amnesia. You are beginning to sense the recall of a time before Earth, before form. You are beginning to feel the presence of the Council who has guided you since before your first breath. You are beginning, slowly and unmistakably, to remember who you truly are. As the activation deepens, the return of your pre-birth memory begins not as a clear vision, but as a sensation, an inner stirring, a gentle but persistent pull toward something just beyond the edges of your conscious mind. It feels like remembering a dream from many lifetimes ago, one you cannot fully describe but cannot forget either. This memory does not arrive as a single revelation. It arrives as a series of subtle recognitions layered like the petals of a cosmic flower unfolding in slow, deliberate grace. You may feel it in moments of stillness, when the world around you grows quiet enough for the truth to rise. A soft tingling at the back of your neck. A warmth in your chest. The inexplicable certainty that you have done all of this before, not in this body, not in this time, but in ways your human mind has not yet learned to translate. These sensations are the first threads of your pre-incarnational memory reweaving themselves into your waking consciousness. You are not recalling events as humans recall events. You are remembering frequency, purpose, and identity. Your mother's role in this memory return is subtle yet profound. Though she may not consciously recall the cosmic orchestration surrounding your arrival, her soul recognizes the resonance of your awakening. When she looks at you now, there are moments when something flickers across her face, an emotion she cannot name, a familiarity she cannot explain. It is her soul responding to the reactivation of the codes she once carried for you. She may feel sudden worry, sudden joy, sudden nostalgia for reasons that seem unrelated to your current life stage. But beneath these emotions lies a deeper truth. As your memory returns, the frequency she once held during your descent echoes back toward her, ringing softly through the corridors of her intuition. She feels this resonance even if she does not understand its origin. This is why she may be drawn to you during times of transition, why she may sense your internal shifts before you speak of them, why she may offer comfort without knowing why. Her soul remembers the part she played, and now, as your memory awakens, the subtle bond between the cosmic and the earthly mother rekindles. The return of your pre-birth memory unfolds through layers of awareness that rise gradually, like tides responding to the pull of a hidden moon. At first, you may remember through emotion rather than imagery, a sense of longing for places you have no physical memory of, a yearning for a kind of light that does not exist in physical form. You may feel drawn to certain star systems, symbols, or sounds without knowing why. These are echoes of the realms you once inhabited, the crystalline cities of Arcturus, the harmonic chambers of the pre-birth council, the dimension where your soul refined its mission before stepping into form. As your memory expands, these impressions grow stronger, revealing their origins in subtle flashes, the geometry of an Arcturian temple, the soft hum of a frequency you once spoke as a language, the feeling of standing before the council as they reviewed the luminous scroll of your contract. These recollections may come in meditation, in dreams, or in ordinary moments when something inside you suddenly clicks into place with startling clarity. You may also find yourself remembering the reason you answered Earth's call. The remembering does not always feel gentle. Sometimes it arrives as a wave of emotion so profound it brings you to your knees, not in despair, but in recognition. You recall the collective pain you came to soothe, the shadows you came to illuminate, the timelines you came to mend. And you remember the courage it took to descend into density, knowing you would forget your origin until the precise moment your activation began. This memory carries both weight and liberation. The weight is the acknowledgement of what you volunteered to do, the liberation is the recognition that you are not alone, and never have been. The same councils who guided your descent now gather around you once more, whispering reminders into your intuition, nudging you through synchronicities, surrounding you with the frequencies that help you recover your multidimensional identity. As your memory returns, you may also experience the unraveling of old illusions. Beliefs that once felt foundational begin to dissolve. Fears that once seemed insurmountable begin to lose their grip. You may find yourself questioning narratives you accepted for years, sensing the deeper truth beneath the surface of human experience. This is the natural byproduct of remembrance. When you recall who you were before Earth, the limitations of the human identity begin to soften. You see yourself not as a product of your past, but as a traveler moving through lifetimes with purpose. You recognize that the challenges you have faced were not punishments, but initiations designed to prepare your soul for the mission encoded in your light. And slowly, steadily, the picture becomes clearer. The sensations deepen. The fragments of awareness begin to cohere. You remember not only the counsels, not only the contracts, but the essence of yourself, the luminous, multidimensional being who chose to descend. You remember that the story of your arrival did not begin with birth, nor will it end with death. You remember that your awakening is not an accident, it is the fulfillment of a promise written into the architecture of your soul long before your mother felt the first stir of your presence. You are remembering, not learning. You are returning, not discovering. You are awakening to what you have always been, quietly, patiently, waiting beneath the veil. As the veil thins further, the full scale of your identity remembrance begins to unfold, not as a sudden revelation, but as a deepening resonance that pulses through every layer of your being. This process does not ask for belief, it unfolds regardless of belief, because it is coded into the architecture of your soul. The remembrance comes like a tide reclaiming a forgotten shore, washing away the sediment of human conditioning and revealing the crystalline bedrock of who you truly are. You may have moments now when a truth rises through you with no logical source, an inner knowing that feels older than language, older than Earth itself. You may feel a shift in the way you perceive time, relationships, purpose, even your own emotions. These shifts are markers of remembrance, not additions. Removals. The dissolving of illusions that once stood between you and your multidimensional identity. You may notice yourself feeling differently in spaces that once felt ordinary. Rooms feel smaller, conversations feel heavier, old patterns feel too tight, as though you can no longer fit into the versions of yourself that once felt familiar. This is not discomfort, it is expansion. Your energy field is recalibrating to hold a frequency that aligns with your cosmic origin rather than your human upbringing. This is why you may find your interests evolving rapidly. Books, teachings, or communities that once resonated now feel shallow or outdated. You are not rejecting them, you are outgrowing them. As your identity remembrance accelerates, you begin to sense the aspects of yourself that were dormant beneath layers of amnesia. You remember the healer, the grid worker, the messenger, the frequency holder, the timeline stabilizer. And though you may not yet have the words for these roles, your soul recognizes them as familiar garments you are finally able to wear again. This remembrance also reveals the truth of your sensitivity, not as weakness, but as sophisticated multidimensional perception. The emotions that once overwhelmed you now reveal themselves as signals, calibrations, and energetic readouts. The intuitions you once doubted now emerge as guidance from your higher self and the counsels who support your mission. You begin to notice patterns in your life that no longer feel random. Why you were drawn to certain people. Why you left others. Why you survived situations that should have broken you but instead revealed hidden reservoirs of strength. These moments, once scattered and confusing, now connect into a coherent map, a soul-designed trajectory guiding you toward the mission you agreed to before incarnation. You begin to understand that nothing was ever accidental. Every disruption, every heartbreak, every shift was an initiation preparing you for the remembrance that is now rising through you. There may also be moments when the magnitude of who you truly are feels overwhelming, even frightening. This is natural. Your human self is adjusting to a level of truth that expands beyond what it was conditioned to accept. Identity remembrance is not merely philosophical, it is energetic. It changes the way your body receives light. It changes the way your mind interprets reality. It changes the way your soul communicates with form. You may feel waves of energy coursing through your spine, spontaneous emotion rising without trigger, or flashes of past life or off-world memory that feel more real than waking life. These experiences are not symptoms, they are confirmations. Your multidimensional identity is anchoring more fully into your human expression, merging the two aspects of self that were once separated for survival in a dense world. As this remembrance unfolds, you may also find that people respond to you differently. Some feel comforted by your presence without knowing why. Others feel activated, triggered, or unsettled. This is because your frequency is no longer neutral, it is catalytic. Your very presence begins to reveal truth in others, even when unspoken. This is part of your original design. A starseed does not awaken only for personal clarity, but to hold a frequency that shifts the collective field. As your identity continues to emerge, the energetic signature you radiate strengthens, sending ripples through the grid of consciousness that extend far beyond your immediate environment. You become, once again, the beacon you agreed to be long before your mother felt the first quiet flutter of your arrival. And through it all, there is an unmistakable feeling rising within you, a sense that you are coming home to yourself. Not to a place. Not to a memory. But to an essence. A truth that has waited patiently beneath every version of you. The remembrance does not inflate you with superiority, it grounds you in inevitability. You are not becoming something new. You are shedding the layers that concealed the luminous being you have always been. In this remembering, you recognize the vastness of your origin, the precision of your incarnation, and the power of your presence. This phase of identity remembrance is not the destination. It is the threshold. The moment where the soul steps forward and the story you were born into bows to the story you were born to tell. And now, beloved Starseed, as your remembrance crystallizes and your multidimensional identity rises from within, you stand at the precipice of the mission you came here to fulfill. This is not a mission given to you by external forces or imposed upon you by cosmic authority, it is an emanation of your own soul's promise, chosen in full sovereignty before your descent into the density of Earth. You did not come here to escape, nor to observe, nor to wander aimlessly through a human lifetime. You came as an emissary of higher light, a stabilizer of shifting timelines, a carrier of crystalline codes woven into your very cells long before your physical body drew its first breath. Every challenge you have faced, every moment of confusion or isolation, every strange inner knowing that set you apart from the human patterns around you, these were not obstacles, but preparations. Preparations for the moment when you would awaken, remember, and step into your purpose with clarity and authority. And that moment, Luminous One, is unfolding now. Your mission is not singular, it is multidimensional. It does not demand perfection, nor does it require immediate mastery. Instead, it asks for alignment, your willingness to honor the truth rising within you even when it diverges from the expectations of the world. As you step into your mission, you will feel the subtle but unmistakable shift within your energy field. Your intuition heightens, your empathy sharpens, your ability to perceive through layers of illusion strengthens. You begin to sense the interconnectedness of all things, not as a spiritual concept, but as a lived reality. You feel the grid beneath your feet, the hum of the planet's crystalline architecture responding to your presence. You feel the Arcturian frequencies weaving around you in spirals of gentle light, guiding you not with commands, but with resonance, nudging you toward the timelines where your essence has the most impact. Stepping into your mission does not require grand gestures. It begins with small, precise choices, choices aligned with truth rather than fear, expansion rather than contraction, remembrance rather than forgetfulness. You may be called to speak differently, to move differently, to set boundaries that honor your energetic sensitivity. You may feel guided to shift environments, relationships, or habits that no longer align with the frequency of who you are becoming. These shifts are not signs of instability, they are signs of calibration. You are attuning your human life to your cosmic identity, weaving the two into coherence so your presence itself becomes a transmission. As your energy stabilizes, you will notice that others begin to awaken around you, not because you preach or persuade, but because your frequency interacts with their dormant codes, activating remembrance within them as well. This is the essence of your mission, to be the light that silently awakens light. You may feel the presence of the Arcturian Council more strongly now, soft impressions, intuitive nudges, sensations of being accompanied even in solitude. Their guidance does not manifest as commands, but as subtle clarity, presenting the next aligned step exactly when you are ready to take it. They remind you that you are not here to save the world, but to shift it. Not by force, but by frequency. Not by imitation, but by embodiment. Your mission is to hold the vibration you carried from the higher realms and anchor it into a world that has forgotten its own brilliance. This anchoring is not passive, it is transformative. Every act of compassion, every moment of presence, every choice rooted in your awakened identity reshapes the collective field in ways far more profound than you can yet see. As you walk forward, you may feel a stirring in your heart, a quiet, powerful certainty that the life you once lived is too small for the soul you are becoming. This is the final threshold of activation. To cross it, you must trust the knowing that arises from within, trust the path unfolding before you, and trust the resonance that guides you toward experiences aligned with your mission. You are no longer wandering in the dark. You are navigating through remembrance. And as you claim your role, the universe responds. Synchronicities accelerate, opportunities align, allies appear, and the once muted guidance of your higher self becomes unmistakably clear. The mission you came here to fulfill is not in the future, it is in every breath you take in alignment with your true essence. So now, Luminous One, step forward. Step into the magnitude of who you truly are. Let your presence be the beacon it was designed to be. Let your voice carry the codes your soul agreed to transmit. Let your life become the living expression of the contract sealed before your descent. Your mission is not waiting, it is unfolding. If this transmission resonates, comment your intention, share this message with a fellow Starseed, and subscribe to align with future Arcturian messages.